Good stuff, man. Let's do it. All right. Good afternoon and welcome everybody to another edition of our Friday lunchtime webinars. And absolutely thrilled to have Bubu Bana in studio with us. And he's going to be taking us through, a lot of the details around this new exciting jobs platform that, he's been working very hard on and very passionate about. And I've had a number of chats with him, and I'm just very keen to get into, all the details about, how that can add a lot of value to all the students as they're studying and trying to get some work experience and also earn some cash along the way. So just as everybody's coming online this afternoon, tell us where you're from. I know we've had quite a few additional universities, get their students on board this week. So very exciting that, we're really getting the message out there wide as possible. So please do pop a note in the chat. Just give Bubu and myself some love. I think we've all made it through a tough week, and we're all probably looking forward to a bit of a break. So, Bubu, before we get into it, how was your morning? What did you have for breakfast?
I did not have anything for breakfast, so I intermittent fast. So my breakfast is actually going to happen in like an hour or so. But my morning's been pretty good, man. Woke up with a full bout of energy and just been smashing task after task after task. And you yourself, man?
Hey, man, that's fantastic. Now, I've been unfortunately tied to my desk in a couple of sessions that I had to get through. So, yeah, I just hopped on here a couple of seconds beforehand. And last week's guest, Dr. Jeff, when I asked him the same question just to sort of warm up the conversation, he said he had a couple of espressos for breakfast. And it was amazing just how many people on the chat were sort of also buying into, maximizing the caffeine input as early as possible on a Friday. But I guess the good news is we've made it through, and you're going to have breakfast this afternoon. I did have a good breakfast this morning, but just getting a bit peckish sitting at my desk for too long. So, Bubu, I think let's get into it. Yeah, we've got a good number of people coming online, and I think we've got some great comments coming through. We've got Pretoria University Tukkies, which is fantastic. Pretoria, you guys, Nelson Mandela University, fantastic to have you guys on board. We're going to get into a really great conversation. And just a reminder, guys, this is the last webinar of this year. And please do join the Facebook group, the members only Facebook group, where I sort of set up all the events and you get a lot more information and you can interact and have some discussions around, the various topics that we run in these different webinars. First thing in January next year on the 15th, we'll be kicking off with, teaching you guys how to write proposals. That's a topic that's come up quite a bit. And then I'm very excited. We're going to be launching a whole new packaged set of content on the following Friday, the 6 steps to student success. I'm really excited about how we're going to package just a path to success for students. I coach students. I listen a lot to the issues that they have. I've also gone through my own student journey and really just so thrilled to kind of put this in just a succinct packaged format for people to get into, especially in the new year. We're hoping 2021 is going to be not as disruptive as 2020, and but just important to stay focused on what are those steps that you need to take to be successful. So, guys, that's just by way of a little bit of introduction. I see we've got a few more people coming online, which is great news. And very importantly, guys, I'm now going to give Bubu a chance to introduce himself and this wonderful platform. And as he kicks off into that, good afternoon, Eudora, Busisiwe, Lerato, Fungwa, Oscar, fantastic, Nosipo, great to have you guys on board. Please, now, the opportunity is, and when we advertised this and promoted it, it really was for you guys to ask the questions to Bubu. And, Bubu, we need to meet the students' expectations here. We've offered them a platform, a freelancing opportunity for them to sign up and get involved. And I know you're looking for high quality students, etc. But to everyone on the chat now, if you can then just start putting your questions on there. And then, as always, I'll pick a couple, I'll put them up on the screen, and, Bubu can then answer those for us. But, Bubu, before we get into that, take it away. The floor is yours. Let's keep it upbeat. I know, you probably had your workout this morning. You fired up. You've done lots of tasks. So just please give us all the excitement around jobox.co.za.
No worries, Peter. Thank you so much. And before I even begin, Peter, I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing, and I absolutely love it. I wish I had something like this while I was still studying. And I mean, like, the next thing you're going to be doing is proposals. I'm going to be joining that one because I'm busy making proposals anyway. So that's going to be a fantastic session.
Perfect. So you're my niche student for January January the 15th. We're going to be talking proposals, and I'm going to coach you through that process of writing and completing and presenting a proposal, because that forms the cornerstone of your whole degree. If you don't get that right, you're gonna struggle throughout the rest of it. But Bubu will do that on the 15th of January. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, as Peter mentioned, I'm Bubu, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of a startup called Jobox. So like, what do we do at Jobox? So Jobox is a work experience platform for students where we connect businesses with high quality students. So like, how do we do all of that connecting and whatnot? So it's pretty simple. We go and we partner with the higher education institution. So that's like a university or a TVET or like a TUT. And from that, we actually are able to work with them to get out to the students and, hey, look, here are job opportunities available to you. And then the students can go and then apply for the jobs through our platform. And when they apply for the jobs, obviously they can do the job and they can get a little bit of extra money on the side. But the main big thing, right, is that work experience. Now, as a student, I was a student not too long ago. I graduated about 2 years ago, and I was part of the lucky few who got a job as soon as I graduated. And how did I do that? It's because I was a busybody while I was still studying. I started like the consulting society. That meant that I was like working with companies, interacting with them. So I was able to develop a thing called like soft skills. Well, so what are soft skills? And that's like the big thing. And I think that the core of everything that we're trying to do at Jobox is to provide soft skills experience and soft skills building opportunities for students. So like soft skills are things like your ability to problem solve. How well do you communicate? How well are you good at organizing? How good are you at working in teams? Those little kind of things that unfortunately at university in class, you don't necessarily get taught. So you have to go do this somewhere else. And where do you go do that somewhere else? It becomes very difficult. Like, how do you get a job, or how do you find a gig that's going to enable you to do that, so that now when you're ready to apply for the job, you're on your CV, you're like, I worked at this place, and this place. And as important as your marks are, which they are, let's not forget about how important your marks are. You do need to do extracurricular activities to put yourself ahead of other candidates. So that's what I did. I looked at it and I said, look, I can't just be a student alone. I have to be more. I have to get a job. Job market is so competitive. And so I started doing so many things, both of my soft skills. By the time I was ready to get a job, I got a job, relatively speaking, quite easily because my CV really stood out. And not only did my CV then stand out, as soon as I got into the workplace, you could see the difference between guys who had just studied and guys who had been doing things while they were studying. We were just able to move up that ladder so much more quickly. We were able to get so I was a management consultant. We were able to get the good projects. We were able to, to get all the leadership positions. That's because as soon as we landed in the working world, we were ready to go. And so when we built Jobox, so I quit my job in order to be able to go back to this thing, because I've always just been passionate about how do I help students, right? When I started the consulting society, it was how do I help students? I also ran the business incubator back at my university. Again, the idea is how do I help students? So I quit my job in order to be able to find ways to help students and give them the same opportunities that I saw myself, which they weren't able to necessarily see. And so that's what we do. We're really trying to get you ready for the working world. Yeah, so
Wow,
that's like a bit of a ramble in what we do here.
And it talked to my heart. And I mean, I think, we were connected by a mutual friend who just saw both, what we were both doing and just thought, wow, what you guys are doing is so complementary, So I'm sort of really focused on coaching students and getting them successful in terms of their academic journey. And obviously there is the preparation for the working world and so on, which they need to be thinking about as they're going through the studies. And now you've created this awesome platform, which then actually gives them something to hang on to and to hold on to and some structure and a bit of a bridge, possibly into that working world. And you, like myself, feel that we're putting our energies into things that we wish we had. When we were students, we didn't have that, and my lecturers were brilliant, but they were kind of focused on their research and, they had to publish or perish. And I get that. And once I made the mind switch that I was there, but it was my own degree. I had to have the right mindset. I had to be proactive about getting the skills I need. And then you have, even taken it a step further. So, kudos to you. You built this platform. You're getting people signed up. So Bubu, just congratulations and well done and good luck on continued success. And that's why we've got you on board here today, was to say, let's now give the students that are part of this community an opportunity to hear a little bit more of it, from yourself. And one of the questions that we've got, and I think, this is something that people will sort of, start asking themselves as they start engaging with it, is this, question from Eudora, what do you mean by high quality students? And maybe, Bubu, you could just sit up a little bit, then we can see your face over the question. That'd be great, man. That's fantastic, man. Now we can see you, and we can see the question, and we can see Eudora, who's been asking that question. So tell us, high quality students, what does that mean?
That is a fantastic question. So does it relate to grades? No. So I'll answer that up front. One of the things that we do, so let's take a step back. So on Jobox, there are essentially 3 different jobs that you can get, right? So the first one is a gig job. So that's like a once-off project or task. I'll make an example. Someone needs a graphic designer. Someone needs someone to edit a video. Or someone needs to have some bookkeeping done for the month. So it's a once-off project or task. It has a definitive start and definitive end. So that's the first type of job we do. The second type of job we do is a part-time placement. So that is someone needs someone to come through for maybe 2 days out of the 5 days a week, or maybe instead of the full 40 hours work week, maybe it's around about maybe 10 hours or so. So that's like the second kind of job that we facilitate. The third different job that we facilitate is internship opportunity. So that is, I am a graduate and now I am looking for my first job straight out of university. So that's like the 3 different type of jobs. So when we say, okay, high quality students, what do we actually mean by that? Each of these 3 jobs that we do, all of them, we vet the students. So what do we mean by we vet? All the students that try to apply for a job on our platform do a multiple choice test. So we give you the reading material that you need to read, and then you read over the material, and then you do the test. Based on the test that you do, we then say, okay, you pass the vetting process. And once you pass the vetting process, we pass you over to the client. So that's what we mean by high quality. We are not looking at your marks, because I feel that marks are fantastic, but sometimes you just need to be given that opportunity in order to be able to get to the place where you can say, okay, cool, I now know what I need to do. Now I need to start improving my marks. And that's when I now go to Udemy courses that Peter has made in order to be able to help me improve my marks with my research. So you see, that's what we're really trying to drive in. But with that being said, sometimes clients do ask us for transcripts, so we do ask the students for transcripts, but more often than not, from the jobs and the people we've placed, transcripts and the marks haven't been too high, because sometimes someone just needs to be given that opportunity. So yeah, that's what we mean by high quality students. It's just students who have passed our vetting process.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And I think you started getting into a little bit of the process aspects of it. So now, where can people get more information and sign up, and then just take them through the practicalities? And there was another question that, I mean, it's not on Facebook. It's jobox.co.za, right? What happens? They're going to hit that website. I'll put it up on the chat now for everybody to go and get into what's going to happen. They register there and get going. What does that look like?
Perfect. So right now, you go to the website and you'll see there's a little button that says access beta. You click on that button, you fill in that form, and we put you on our beta list. So the way that we're working right now is that if we are partnered with an institution, so for instance, University of Pretoria, one of our partners, we are then able to offer you job opportunities because University of Pretoria, one of our partners. As soon as you fill in that list, we put you on a list, and as soon as there's a new job post, we blast all of the jobs to you. You go do the vetting process. Once you pass the vetting process, we give you a link so you can sign up to the platform and do the whole application there. But that's how it's working right now. I'm really, really pleased to announce that within the next 2 months, so in January, when everyone comes back to school, our platform is going to be live and anyone is going to be able to access it. So you're going to be simply able to go to Jobox, you go there, you fill in all the registration details, and you're going to have an account, and we're going to be able to then now offer you job opportunities across the board. So we're super excited about that. But right now, go to the link that Peter's going to share there, access the beta, because we do actually have a couple of open job posts right now. Go there, and then we'll send you over the links as soon as you're done with that one. So that's how the application process works.
Okay, so I mean, you're making some massive, awesome changes to your platform, but I mean, once they go in, and a big thing with these webinars and with all my content and the courses that you kindly mentioned, thanks very much, Bubu, is to take action. You know, you're only going to improve your status and your skills and achieve your success if you take action. So, you know, right after this session, I want them all to go and hit Jobox and apply on there, and then they'll be in your database, and you know, they're not going to have to do something new and reapply in January when you make these upgrades, etc.
So what we're going to do in January, we are going to, once you're in our database, we're just going to send you an email for you to actually go and fill out the profile. Because right now, all we're just grabbing is your email address, where you're studying, and all of these things. So for example, as I mentioned, we partner with higher education institutions. We've partnered with the University of Pretoria. We've partnered with VIT. We've got a couple of TVETs down in Cape Town. If you can see that we have not partnered with your institution yet, let us know which institution you're from, and then get us in, help us out. Like seriously, get us into contact with your university so that we can add you to the list. That's kind of how we're doing it right now. Is that if we're not partnered, we need to work with your university. So if you're in NMMU, for example, we haven't partnered with NMMU yet. Once you see the link and you're like, hey, I want this opportunity, reach out to us. Tell us, hey, Bubu, I go to NMMU. I want to be a part of this platform, and I know I've got a whole bunch of my friends as well. Let's get you in conversations with the relevant people within the institution so we can go and chat with them. And obviously, we do have other institutions that we've got pending. Fortunately, can't mention them right now, but we are working tirelessly to be able to touch as many universities as we possibly can. And once we partner with that university, it really opens up the doors for us to interact with not only their SRCs, not only with the lecturers, but also with all of the student societies, because that's also a big thing, because we want to work with so many different institutions within universities in order to be able to touch as many students as we possibly can. And if you love the platform and you love the opportunities that we're giving you, tell your friends. Like as Peter said, be actionable. The more actionable you are with it, the better we can help and support you and through what we do.
Yeah, absolutely, Buba. I know we've got a couple of people from Nelson Mandela University on the call today, so I mean, we can create some linkages there for you to get in touch with that university, etc. I mean, so we've gone through some of the practicalities and some of the benefits and some of the steps of, you know, applying in and what you're doing from your side, and you're going to be in touch with people that sign up, etc. And it's just going to get better and better, you know, this ecosystem that you're creating. But maybe then let's just take a bit of a step back. And I mean, we had a very good question here from Sibusiso, which is that, you know, I mean, you've built up a freelancing platform effectively. Obviously, you know, it's got a South African flavor, and you kind of partnering with specifically South African universities, etc. And we all know about, you know, the international freelancing platforms like Fiverr and Upwork. I use quite a bit, etc. Maybe just give us your, because obviously you did a bit of research and, you know, you kind of understand this world very well. Maybe just get everybody up to speed on these other platforms, and then how yours kind of links in with those. Is it complementary? Does it overlap, etc.?
So that's a fantastic question, and I love it when people ask me this question. So the history of Jobox is that when we first started Jobox, right? I think it helps to paint the whole picture. So when we first started Jobox, we were driving around. You know, you go around like Builder's Warehouse and all these kinds of things, and you see people carrying these things like, I'm a roofer, I'm a painter, I'm a tiler, etc. And so then we said to ourselves, surely there's a more efficient way for people to advertise their skills. So this is back in 2015. We're still students. So yeah, Jobox was created when we were still students. That's when we came up with the idea. And so we see this and we're like, surely there's a better way for people to advertise their skills. And we do a bunch of research, and it turns out there's marketplaces, and it blows our mind at the time. You know, now we know there's like these platforms are a dime a dozen, but it truly at the time blew our mind. But we said to ourselves, how do we then get into this market a bit better? How do we then assist these people? And so what we figured out is that assisting those people is something that we want to do in the future. There's so many like different things that make it difficult in order to make it work with people within that market. So we said, okay, let's focus on professional freelancing. And then we found out about your Fiverrs, your freelancers, your Upworks, your Guru.com, your TopTop. There are so many freelancing or gig platforms. And at the time, we had set ourselves to build South Africa's very own gig platform. But we realized that there's no differentiator between what we would do and what they would do. And so we wouldn't be able to really grow and have a successful company. And we said to ourselves, like, look, we're students. We understand students. Why can't students do freelancing jobs? And the benefit of students doing freelancing jobs is that they're a little bit more affordable, and also they have flexible time schedules. And then we said, like, look, there's a big problem with students not being hired, graduate youth unemployability. And all of those things, we put them together and we said, let's make a student freelancing platform. That was like the initial onset of what we wanted to do. So we considered building a Fiverr and a freelancer, ended up building Jobox. So what is the difference between Fiverr and freelancers? From the student perspective, the biggest difference, and this is what I didn't say this, one of our users said this. So she's a student and she's done a couple of jobs through the platform. She said the best thing about Jobox is that when I am on it, I am not competing against people who have 20 to 30 years experience. I am competing with other students, meaning that it is more fair to me and it allows me to gain that very first job, to gain that work experience. So from like a student perspective, that is probably one of the biggest key differentiators, that you are actually competing against other students. And I think the main and important thing is that once you finish a job on Fiverr or a freelancer, you get rated, right? But you get rated like your Uber. So it's like a 5-star rating. I really enjoyed working with Peter, and that's where it ends. Whereas on the Jobox platform, as a student, you get rated and reviewed based on your soft skills. So once a client completes a job and they're happy with the work that you've done, they're going to say, out of the 4 different soft skills, this is your star rating for each of them. You get this report back, and then you can see, oh, the client gave me 2 stars out of 5 for planning. I need to work on my planning. But hey, he thought it was a creative problem solver. I got 5 stars for creative problem solving. And from that, you are able to now know, this is my areas of strength, this is my areas of weakness. And now this is where everything comes into play. Now you can go and find soft skills training material that is going to enable you to figure out where your shortcomings are and what you're missing. And then now building your complete soft skills profile. So by the time you go and apply for that job, you've got your Jobox ratings. You can say to your potential future employers, hey guys, I did 10 jobs in Jobox. This is what the client said about me. You can see how well I grew from job to job. And now you're sitting there. No other student who has applied has this as well. You've just set yourself apart in the most tremendous way. So that is like the biggest difference between those 2 differences. You're competing against other students, firstly. Second one, you actually get soft skills ratings.
Yeah, that's amazing, Bubu. And I mean, the power of these search rankings and the importance of ratings and reviews, as people are searching for, the kind of skills that you have. And if you go onto Upwork or Fiverr, you naturally are going to look for the 4 5-star rated freelancers out there. And I think we must embrace that model. I mean, I think that transparency is good. It sort of encourages, a self-motivated drive to just get better and take on new skills and do courses and get those skills and get better and better as far as possible. And but I presume, I mean, there is a bit of a moderation process if you get a review that you're not happy with on a job, etc. I mean, I guess you are able to mediate in those difficult situations, and I guess that's part of the service and support that you provide to students in a worst case situation.
Yeah, 100%. We've got a mediation process that we go through if a job is unsuccessful, or if there's a bit of conflict between the client and the student. The one thing I will say though is that we are not involved in the job process. So essentially speaking, we just connect the 2 parties. But as like an added feature, we do find ways to say, okay, cool, what can we do? So we've got a whole mediation process on board. And also the cool thing is we have an escrow payment system. So what does an escrow payment system mean? That means that the client or the employer will pay us, and the money we're going to held in a virtual account. So let's say there's an unfortunate circumstance and you were able to do 20% of the work done. Instead of you not getting paid, that 20% will come to you because we have the capability to do that. So there's like all these little checks and procedures in place in order to enable that both the client and the employer and the students are able to find like harmonious ways of working. And if it doesn't, then there's mechanisms involved there as well. Because we do realize that sometimes it may be a student's first job, and they may not be like fully prepared for that. But sorry, Peter, one more thing that we do. When you do get a job on the platform, we send you a pack. It's called So You Just Got Hired. And in that pack, we include information like how do you send emails, how do you manage client expectations, and all these kinds of different little tips and tricks. This is not like a static thing. This is something that we're continuously growing over time based on feedback that we're getting on, oh, I wish I knew this when I first started. If you ever have that thought, oh, I wish I had this, and you've gotten a job on the platform, tell it to us so we can include it in the pack to make sure that every student after you who gets a job knows exactly what they need to know.
And I guess I don't know if everybody knows, but I'm sure we're all on Uber. And I mean, you actually have a rating as a passenger. So you'll be able to go and see what your aggregate rating is of all the drivers that have ever given you a lift in Uber. They actually rate you as a driver. So, I don't know if you're going to build it in at some point, but it'll be great, to get that reverse rating of, of all the clients where the students have worked, etc. And I mean, obviously you need to manage, those aspects as well. But I mean, it works in both directions, right? I mean, so, the top students and the guys who have been through a number of jobs, it can be a little bit picky, I guess. And I mean, you could get a situation where an Uber driver doesn't want to pick up a passenger because of that passenger's rating as to how they've treated the driver. So that mutual, transparent, network-based sort of ecosystem of ratings and reviews, where the naturally high quality interactions between the two sides of your marketplace, which is effectively what you set up, ultimately results in just a better and better, opportunities for both sides of the marketplace.
No, Peter, 100% correct. One of the big things that when we speak with higher education institutions, like normally we deal with the graduate career officers during the sales process when we're trying to onboard them on, one of the big questions they always ask us is, what are you doing as Jobox to vet the employers as clients? And also, how are you ensuring that you only have good clients on the platform? And I'm really happy that you brought that up, because one of the things that you are able to do as a student, you rate the employer as well. For now, it is a simple rating, like a 5-star rating, and you leave a little review. But this is something that we are actually chatting with not only the higher education institution partners we're working with, but also our current students to figure out what other things do you need to know. Again, speaking about one of the users. So at this point in time, we are quite high touch. I speak to our users quite regularly because, we're in the process of learning and building this beautiful thing. One of our users, she's a female, and she said to us, Bubu, I love this thing, it's fantastic, but I want to be able to rate and review the employer in more detail, because there are so many things that could go wrong. And how do we ensure student safety, especially in this day and age? How do we ensure female safety? And so that is one of the big things that we're looking at, is how do we improve this thing so we make sure that not only do we have our vetting process to make sure that the client or the employer is the person that they purport to be, their registered company, all that jazz, but then now when they interact with students, are they a person that we want them to continuously be on the platform or not? Because at the end of the day, we are here for the students. This platform is built for students. That's why it's free to sign up for students. We never charge students anything to use it. It's always just for us to say, how do we maximize it? How do we actually benefit the students in the biggest way possible? But it's so important to have both ratings on both sides.
Yeah, fantastic, Bubu. And I mean, what I want to do, I want to get into just, you mentioned some of those key soft skills, and I'd like to maybe itemize one or two of them and go into some specifics, and maybe you can do a bit of live coaching and just maybe, pick off the top of your head one or two of them, and some real practical situations of, where you've, had experience with students that have gone into a job and where they've learned from one to the next, maybe some examples of that. But just a quick ad break, guys, to say that, please do subscribe on the channel. So I put the link there, and you'll just get regular coaching tips, from myself. And I mean, we've got great people like Bubu on this week, and we had Dr. Jeff, who's a double PhD, and, he actually did some live coaching with the students as well in the session. And we learned a lot from him, and he gave a lot of perspectives, and his views of the future of higher education given fourth industrial revolution. So really go and check out that live stream recording. That was absolutely an incredible session that we had last week. And then, guys, of course, our sort of more intimate community is in the Facebook group, and Bubu, I think you're there as well, and so you'll continue to get updates on Jobox, and of course go and sign up onto Jobox and just get yourself plugged into as many of these opportunities as possible. And the community is free, the YouTube channel is free, signing up onto Jobox is free. Do what works for you, see where you can get value, see where you can build trust with people. Hopefully you feel that either myself or Bubu, we're trustworthy, we're real people, we're not some weird guys out on the internet. We're passionate about, helping students be successful. From myself, in their studies, and from Bubu's perspective, out in the workplace and getting that work experience, even before you have to go out there and actually start your career. And then what I'm going to do, guys, Bubu, you've seen a number of my courses, and I was just listening to the conversation now and thinking, which would be really useful for everybody today. So what I'm going to do is, just towards the end of the webinar in about 10-15 minutes, I'm just going to put a link out there, and I'm going to give everybody free access to go into to get into the course called Improve Your Job Prospects and Accelerate Your Career Growth. Now, there's practical lessons, tips, and tricks in there that I think for students to learn even now in preparation for going and doing these micro jobs, and through Jobbox, getting those opportunities are going to be absolutely so critical. And we're going to work on some additional content to help you be successful in those. But landing those opportunities and being successful in them, we've packaged up some lessons in there, and I'm going to put a link there that you can go and sign up, and you'll get free access there for 3 days. And all I ask is that you just leave a rating and a review. There we go. Ratings and reviews are so important so that I know how I can improve. And just like when you sign up to Jobbox and you do a job there, you're going to get that rating and review from the employer. And that means that you don't know exactly what you need to go and improve on. And so on that point, Bubu, I mean, you've got that sort of rating scale, you've got those soft skills that you mentioned. Maybe just off the top of your head, maybe just, I mean, and it's not a complex rating scale or a framework at all. Maybe just walk us through those, and maybe touch on each one of them, and what you've seen has been more or less important, as with some practical examples of other students that have done jobs on your platform.
Yeah, sure, no worries, Peter. So we track 4 different soft skills to the platform. And now the thing about soft skills is that there are so many. You can go and look up and research, and you'll probably find like 18 to 24. That's what we first kind of encountered. It was like a web, and we were like, oh my gosh, because we had set out to do this and we were super excited. And then you get there and you're like, how can I make this make sense for students and clients as well without overwhelming them with too much information? So what we did was we spoke to recruiters and did a whole host of research to figure out what are recruiters actually really looking for when they're hiring someone. And so from that, we were able to get these 4 soft skills. So the primary soft skills is communication. That's like your ability to communicate. I mean, you know what I'll do? I'll first give the 4 overview, then I'll touch on each of them individually. So there's communication, leadership, organization, and problem solving. So those are the 4 big ones. We said, okay, out of these 4, we'd be able to learn quite a lot. But because, there were 18 to 24 of them, we then subcategorized them and said, okay, these ones fit here, these ones fit there, and these ones fit there. So within communication, what we really are trying to help you out there is your ability to, verbal and written communication. But the biggest aspect of communication that is often missed out on is listening. Your ability to listen is so big for communication, because the better you're able to listen, the better you are then able to action tasks that are given to you. So it's not just literally, I can hear or I can understand what people are saying. It's my ability to comprehend what people are saying. And so that's why listening is such an important aspect of communication, which is not taken into consideration enough. When you listen and when you find yourself in a job environment, don't butt in all the time when someone is speaking. Take in everything that they're saying. Don't get ready to snap at an answer. Just get ready, listen, take in information, and then go forward. I will give practical examples of each, because there is one specific, and it's close to home because it was an intern that we had hired and how we helped develop him. So I will touch on that one. And so the next one we do is leadership. So leadership was a very tricky one for us to be able to drill down for this, because at the end of the day, leadership is just your ability to lead, but What we did was we broke it down. We said leadership comprises of taking initiative and being accountable. So taking initiative pretty much means that you don't just sit there and wait for tasks to be given to you when you get to the workplace, or even with you working with a client. You proactively ask the client, hey, I saw this thing. What do you think about it? Should we do this thing? But your ability to know when the line is, that is something you'll learn over time, or whether to you can be eager, but don't be over eager. That's the problem with soft skills. There's always like a little balancing act over there. And accountability is pretty much like when you're given a task, are you accountable in accomplishing it? And we found that unfortunately, in some instances, when the students first began, they weren't as accountable as they could be, and it reflected in their ratings and reviews. And so what we did is that's when we decided to implement the whole "so you just got hired" thing. That thing didn't come out of us just being like, "Hey, let's just go." We had the vetting process. The students did incredibly well. Their CV was great, but then they got into the workplace and they just didn't perform as well. And accountability was one of the biggest ones. Was client giving the student a task and the student not actually actioning that task in time. And so, there were things that come up, in the one instance, one of the ladies that we had placed, some family issues were happening and she didn't communicate with the client that I'm not going to be able to do this. So she wasn't accountable. So in those kinds of situations and circumstances, what do? It's pretty easy. You manage expectations. If you were given a task and you see that the task is for Friday, but you can see that, oh my word, I have a project due for Wednesday that's going to take up most of my time. You message the client or you message the employer and you tell them, hey, this is the situation and this is the scenario. I know we agreed on Friday, but the probability of me being able to submit this thing on Friday is low. Can I get an extension for Monday? So now this is you not coming on Friday saying, I'm not going to be able to do this. That is probably one of the worst things that you can do. You say this on Monday so they can know that on Friday, they're not going to receive this thing. I think that's one of I didn't know this while studying. I only learned this once I began working as a management consultant. And I had so many tasks on top of me and I was trying to do all of them. And one of the managers came to me and she said, just go speak to my client. Just go speak to them. So that is a massive one. I'll quickly run through the next one. Organization. Organization is made out of planning and keeping track of your work. Again, it's the ability to know that on Wednesday, I've got a project due. On Friday, I've got a client deliverable due. Your ability to plan those things and make those things make sense is a big thing. And that will show when you're interacting with the client. And then obviously keeping track of your work. You've got to be able to know how far you are with something that you're doing. And again, this is something you learn over time, but it is an amazing skill to learn. And for me, probably my most favorite and something that I believe will really set yourself apart from everything is problem solving. Your capability to problem solve will lead you to be able to pretty much work in almost any job, because in almost every job that we face, Peter, we're solving problems. The better you are at problem solving, the better you are at accomplishing almost any task. And we've taken problem solving and we've said it made of critical thinking and creative problem solving. And so now this is the example that I wanted to talk about. So we got an intern into Jobox a couple of months ago, and they were working on the development side. With regards to being able to accomplish tasks and do everything that they needed to do, they were quite good at it. We brought them in for a reason. We took them to the vetting. But when it came to independently working, when it came to us giving them a task, and the task was, fairly speaking, quite ambiguous, like go and do X. And we weren't telling them this is each and every single step that you have to do. Where in varsity, a lot of the time you're given a project and you're told this is the outcomes, this is deliverables, this is what you have to do. Sometimes in the working world, you're just given a task and you don't know what to do. And you're just like, well, where am I? You don't even know where to start. You don't even know what to type into Google. And so the big thing is for you to be able to sit down and be able to know that, okay, cool, I'm given this task. This is how I go about solving the problem. And so with him, we assisted him. We got him a couple of Udemy courses on problem solving, and he was able to eventually, by the time he left, was able to, be able to get a good frame of problem solving going on. And really happy to announce that now he's working at SAPS, and that's like really awesome for us, knowing that we were able to help and develop him to the point now where he's got like a really great team there. So those are the kind of
you made a difference. You made a difference in that student's life, Bubu, and I mean that's just what gives me encouragement, and for you as well. And I mean, I just want to come back to that sort of problem solving and task management. And I mean, just on the topic of Udemy courses, I mean, my most recent course is called "Get Kanban Organized: Master Your Tasks from To Do to Done." And in that course, I take students through the principles of Kanban. And really, all Kanban is just, categorizing your tasks. You have a backlog of things that you need to do, and then you move those tasks, and it can be stickies on a board, it can be on Trello, it can be on Teams, it can be on lots of, I mean, just, a wall somewhere with some colored sticky notes at your desk when you've got a job through Jobox, and you create a little space for yourself, and the client comes around and sees you've got a little Kanban board going. That is going to pop up on your rating, and they're going to at least say that you're applying some principles to planning your task and getting through them in a disciplined way. And this idea of cadence, regularly reviewing that board and understanding what tasks you need to move through that workflow from your backlog into being in progress, and then ultimately to getting done. And I think what you were talking about there, Bubu, as well, was the importance of breaking projects down into individual tasks. And what I teach in the course is the importance of making those tasks at the level that you can complete within a week or 2 weeks at the most. Because if you can't break your projects and your work down into those individual tasks, what do you physically actually do? You're going to be floundering. You're not going to meet the client's expectations. And so just as you were talking, I mean, I was just thinking of the power of the some of those concepts. And there's a couple of introductory videos on the YouTube channel as well. But I'll put a link on the comments now, actually, for people to go and sign up there, and I'll make it available to everybody to do that for free, because it's something that I've used in 20 years of business as one of the most powerful ways, both to demonstrate and actually apply the principles of being able to get tasks through your own personal workflow. And then I think, Bubu, as people get more and more experience in the workplace, they'll start working more and more in teams, and they'll start to become mutually dependent on other people. And Kanban boards are so powerful because you can have different colored sticky notes for different members of your team. So all your red sticky notes are for a certain member of your team, your yellow sticky notes are for you, and you can then link those tasks to each other. And so just for one practical value add out of today that helps address that soft skill that you're talking about there, I would suggest that Kanban thinking and those ways of getting organized can be incredibly powerful. And just one last thought on Kanban is this principle of limit work in progress. Don't have too many tasks in that middle section, because you can't think about all these tasks. Rather have a few in there, and then focus your mind on just those 3 or 4 tasks and move them into done, and then go and get some more tasks from your backlog and stick them in the middle. Are you a big Kanban proponent?
Such a massive, massive fan. And thank you for mentioning that. It's something that I didn't even think that we should teach students about, or even tell them about. Like at Jobox, we are an agile company through and through. It's what we do. Now, obviously, I'm just throwing a jargon word. You don't even know that. But essentially, it's just about the way of working that we do. So in my personal capacity, my daily to-do list went from being a to-do list to a Kanban board. And it's just been absolutely fantastic. And then obviously on the development side, because we are a tech startup, we've got technology and stuff, we use another methodology called it's a framework, sorry, another framework called Scrum, which again it's about moving things in. And Peter, when you first discover this, you think about how you did work before, and you're like, how did
exactly.
I ever?
Yeah, and I mean, I think, Bubu, just for everybody, you mentioned, Agile and Scrum, and I mean, so that's a broad framework, and within that, Agile and Scrum and Kanban and so on are just, it's just terms, but in the course, I take people through the practical application. Forget about the name of it, but the practical value add, which you've discovered, I've discovered, and I want everybody on this call to go and discover and learn for themselves and improve that throughput of their tasks from their backlog to getting done. Is once you discover it, you never go back. And then you understand all the tools that you can use, like Trello and these other things that are out there. And a lot of which, Bubu, I would suggest, the corporates make available to their employees. And if you, as a Jobox, member, go in and you're able to apply these principles on the tool sets that those companies provide for you, you're starting to entrench yourself, in that environment and demonstrate value from the tools that companies give to employees. And I often find that a huge gap. Companies invest in tools, but there isn't often enough training to say this is how we make it real and practical for you to do these tools to become more productive and effective and get your job done. And if you're able to accomplish that, once again, there's a chance of repeat jobs, and maybe after you finished your qualification, maybe a permanent offer there. And that's all just, again, increasing your ratings and reviews as you do these jobs on Jobox.
Yeah, 100%, Peter. Like, the more you are able to entrench yourself within a company, the more they're probably going to want to hire you over and over again. I mean, most of the clients that come and hire a student once through Jobox, they're like, hey, I really like working with that person. I'm going to hire them again and again and again and again. And you better believe that probably once they have graduated, that person's going to want to hire them on a full-time basis, because they were able to just work with this person incredibly well, and whatnot. But like, guys, if there's anything that you take away from this, you can take the soft skills there, but seriously, Kanban and being organized in your work. And this doesn't just help you with jobs as well. This can help you with your actual studies, when you're writing your thesis, writing your dissertation, all of that stuff. You can put it all in the Kanban board, get stickies moving across, and there's just something fulfilling about taking a sticky and moving it through all the process and then putting in that done column. The little feeling you get. Yeah, it's an absolute. I know people that have planned their weddings using Kanban.
Yeah.
Kanban boards.
Well, I mean, it's funny you mentioned that, because I mean, in the course there's actually a lesson which I teach on a whiteboard, a physical whiteboard with different multicolored stickies. So I show moving those stickies, and I talk about the importance of doing that as a tactile experience. Yes, we're all digital and working from home now, but as we become more physical, hopefully from next year, and get together and so on. I put an assignment in the course, and I ask people to set up their first Kanban board. So in the course, you'll actually end up. My assignment to you is to set up a Kanban board and then give me feedback on that. Show me the tasks in your backlog, what's in progress and what's in to do. And actually, just that you mentioned that, it reminded me, one of the ladies put in there, some wedding planning tasks, that she had used in the Kanban board as part of the assignment in the course. So that's just an awesome serendipitous point that you made there. Bubu, I mean, just in the last sort of 10 minutes or so, I mean, you were going through those leadership and soft skills, etc. Did you complete that list? Sorry, I mean, there were sort of 4 primary ones. Just want to make sure we gave everybody the full spectrum of that sort of scorecard and how you work at Jobox.
Yeah, so to recap them, there are 4 primary soft skills: leadership, organization, problem solving, and communication. And then there's a subcategory in each of them that we believe that you really need to focus on and hone in on, so you can get the 4 core soft skills and get those. Once you've got those unlocked, I promise you'll be able to do some truly amazing things with your future and your life.
And Bubu, tell me, just let's zoom in on the communications one a little bit. I mean, how much or how important is obviously, putting slides together and PowerPoint and doing presentations, etc. I mean, it's probably not relevant to every single job, but I would imagine it comes up quite frequently.
Yeah, definitely. The thing about making slides and PowerPoint is, I think the biggest misconception is people go in and they just put up, go to PowerPoint, get some easy template to use, bullet point, simple heading. Well, you're forgetting that what you're actually trying to do when you're making a PowerPoint is you're trying to tell a story. And your ability to tell a story is so important and so crucial, regardless of how many bullet points you have in any of these things. And Peter, actually, let's take a step back if you don't mind. There's a pet peeve of mine with people that make PowerPoint presentations. There's 2 different kind of PowerPoint presentations, right? So I'm going to do a little bit of coaching now with regards to PowerPoint presentation, and this is what I learned as a manager consultant, and I'm using it. I make PowerPoints at least once a week, even in my life now as a startup founder and entrepreneur. And I think it's such an important skill to have, because you can use it whether in your world as a student having to present, obviously, projects or anything, but then when you get a job through Jobox, it's a great way for you to actually summarize things that you've given to the client. So the thing is, there's 2 different kinds of PowerPoint presentations. And I know people want to kill PowerPoint presentations. I'm not a fan of that. Don't kill them. I know Jeff Bezos from Amazon, He's got a view thing that says no PowerPoint. And I'm like, no. You've probably seen too many 20 bullet point slide PowerPoint. So the thing about PowerPoints is two different kinds. Sorry, two different kinds of PowerPoints. There's a PowerPoint that you send that people read by themselves and they're able to gain and elicit a lot of information out of it. But then there's a PowerPoint presentation that you use when you are presenting to people. And so the one that you sent to read, again, you've got to be able to tell your story well. But there are like little tiny things there that you need to make sure that you're right. There's things like make sure your font size is consistent, make sure your font style is consistent, make sure that you use colors that people can actually read, that are legible. Make sure that you haven't made the PowerPoint presentation too big, so don't put too many fancy pictures so they're not able to send to email. Make sure that even when you do send it via email, PDF it. Sorry, Peter, there's a big thing here. Guys, when you're applying for jobs, whether it's through the Jobox platform, when we ask you to upload your CV, or whether you've decided to just apply to a job post directly, never send a Word document. Always send a PDF. Please, please, please. And it's not too difficult to do it. You just click File, Save As, drop down, PDF. Whether you're sending a Word document or whether you're sending a PowerPoint presentation, make sure it's a PDF. It's just, it's what made us more professional.
Bubu, I mean, just as you're talking, I'm just thinking of the lessons that's actually in this course. So there's one on, putting PowerPoint presentations together. There's one on writing and putting CVs together. So I actually teach a platform called Nova Resume. So Elon Musk actually uses Nova Resume. So I actually go in and I show you my own CV on Nova Resume. And in there, when you click that button, it gives you the PDF, and your CV is actually stored safely in the cloud. So a lot of people have Word documents and they lose it, and it's different PCs, or it's on the university computer, and now you can't find it 5 years later when you change jobs, etc. So all of this value that you're talking about now, and the coaching that you've been doing with everybody today, and I just want to mention there, Calvin's actually done the course. So thanks, Calvin. Appreciate that. Just a product endorsement there. So a lot of what Bubu's been talking about now in terms of presentations and PDFing your CV and showing up, and getting your work done, etc. I cover in the course, which Calvin's done, and which he mentions there, and which I provided a free link in the chat there, so that you guys can go and enroll, and just please do that within 3 days, and then you've got access to it for life. And the other course I provided is the Kanban organization tips and tricks. So go in there and do that, and you'll just be able to master your tasks from to do to done. So, Bubu, I mean, I've just really had a wonderful chat with you today, and I'm just inspired to see that I've, meet somebody that's sort of as passionate as I am about helping students be successful. And ultimately, we want students to, get through their studies, find meaningful employment, become self-sufficient, grow our economy, contribute to society. We're proudly South African. We're working, day in and day night to help people, in the interests of the country that we love. I mean, that sentiment resonate with you?
In the biggest way possible, Peter. Like what we often say, I'm not saying everyone should do this, but what we often say internally at Jobox is we didn't quit our jobs for nothing. We quit our jobs because we wanted to really find a way to help our country, because we love it. It's our country. We were born here, and we want to see it thrive. We want to see it grow. And we truly believe that one of the biggest ways we can do this is through young people and empowering young people in order to be able to assist them to build the future that we need to build. I know there's a lot of 2020 has been very tough on everyone. There's a lot of bad discourse and all these things. And, sometimes you look at the figures in the economy and you're just like, oh, it's so bleak and whatnot. And it really can be. But I think it also presents an opportunity to us young people to be really say to ourselves, how do we play a role in doing this? Now, whether you go and start a business, that'll be great. But another way that you can do it is to really play a very crucial and pivotal role within the job market, and really put yourself out there and start to make a change in this country. There's so many different ways to make change. It doesn't have to be a grand change. It's what I often tell people. I always say to people, sorry, Peter, you've got me on my soapbox now, asking me that question. I often say to people, change the world. But that doesn't mean I'm a millennial, sorry. It doesn't mean, you have to change the world on a big, grand scale. By changing the life of one person, by just saying hi to someone, by just, assisting, providing someone with some sort of support, you've literally changed that person's life, and you've literally changed the world. That's the way that I'm seeing it.
Absolutely. So, by attending this webinar today, maybe somebody has learned something, maybe they sign up to something new, maybe they get some value, as long as they take action, afterwards and get something done. And, any of those grand schemes that you talk about where we see wonderful people changing the world and changing the country, it all can be dissolved down to specific tasks and steps and sort of serendipitous conversations and opportunities that they took. So Bubu, thank you for that encouragement. Just one last question there from David, just, parting thoughts now. So, we've really, explained the value, and we've really, encouraged people to take action as a result of this webinar. And it looks like some people are already doing that, while they've been listening and multitasking, which is awesome. So if they've registered now, and just can I get your commitment that the platform works, they're going to get, what's the next step for them? And can you commit to making sure that platform is going to work for them and meet their expectations?
Yeah, 100%. So David, with regards to that, you probably clicked the link, you filled in the beta form. We'll get back to you probably within the next 10 days, depending on which university that you're in. If you're in University of Pretoria or WITS, etc., expect job offers from us, well, not from us, but companies that posted jobs on our platform. Expect that to come through. If you're not, we're going to put you on a list. We will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. There definitely will be some actions. We don't like to be idle with regards to what people are doing on the platform. But you've probably seen our job posts if you are part of any of our partner institutions. But like I said at the beginning of the call, we didn't, if you missed a bit at the beginning of it, in January, platform is going to be up and available. So that's going to be the best possible thing. But we will be continuously communicating. By we, I say my teammate Manga. But yes, we will.
Takes a team. You've committed him on your behalf. So fantastic, yeah. Bubu. Appreciate the chat. And to everybody, that's the last webinar of this year. It's been a tough one. We're looking forward to seeing you in 2021 on the 15th of January. So get onto Jobox, go sign up, and they'll take you through their process and, just increase your chance of opportunities to get work experience and make some cash while you're a student. Go and join the Facebook group, and you'll get all the updates and more encouragement, from everybody else that's in there, like-minded students also dealing with the same things. Thanks, Fungwa. Appreciate your comments there, that it was a very informative session. Absolutely pleasure. That's what myself and people like Bubu are very passionate about doing. And then subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can get, regular updates. And maybe I'll ask Bubu to do a couple of guest posts and, give us some value there as well. And go and check out Bubu's YouTube channel. And I think he's on Twitter and also obviously other social feeds as well. And, follow him and all of, his ongoing success as he, passionately, supports students in South Africa. And then I've added 2 courses today, guys. So you're going to get absolutely massive value from this webinar. We've had a testimonial from Calvin about the value of the job prospects course that he's done. We heard about Bubu's use of Kanban in managing his own tasks. So both of those courses I've opened up specifically for this webinar, specifically for you guys. So go click both those links, enroll. It'll stay open for you. And importantly, as I updated with new courses, new lessons and new updates in those courses, you'll get those absolutely for free. So introduce yourself in the course, get the maximum amount of value from it, and use what you've learned to go and do awesome jobs on Jobox and get great ratings and improve your chances of success in the future. Bubu, we're going to say thanks and all the best. Have an awesome weekend, everybody. Chat soon. See you in 2021.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks, Peter.